Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts. And we are here today with a guest, Megan Stevens of eatbeautiful.net. She's been a big fan of the low vitamin A diet for a long time, and she is doing something very important with her own time and money. She is recreating the low vitamin A animal experiments with gerbils. So it's really cool that she took that on. Actually, Grant kind of suggested to me once that I do it, and I was like, I don't have time for that. So it's really cool that Megan is doing it, and she's here today. So Joe, if you want to share that screen. Hello, Megan.
Here.
Thanks for coming on today. We've been talking about doing this for a while now.
Yep,
and yeah, so first we'll just start out. I know you've been, I remember very early on when you got into this, you were posting like your list of foods for the low vitamin A diet. Mm-hmm. And I know you're a big fan of the Love Your Liver program. And I know you've sent tons of people over to get help in the way that we do it. So I want to thank you for that. And so first, let's talk about your website, eatbeautiful.net, and what you do there.
Sure. So also thank you for having me. It's a privilege. What a huge help you've been in my life. So Eat Beautiful, from the beginning, I've been trying to help people to get well. And in the beginning, I did that incorrectly. Like many of us, we were following, the blind following the blind, as far as people who didn't know what they were talking about, but it sounded good. So the whole Weston A. Price kind of thing is what I started my blog with, and was trying to share nutrition and wellness with people through that. And then I don't know if I'll end up talking about my health journey here or not, but basically I ended up quite unwell. And so I started the GAPS diet, and I did that for 6 years, and I created 2 cookbooks. And so the cookbooks that you see on my website are not ones, actually the second one, the soup cookbook, is full of, it does have a lot of low vitamin A recipes in it, but it also has recipes for like Whole30 and AIP and GAPS and things that I don't think get people to the finish line. I think they're like things people try and then figure out they don't work. They maybe help them with initial symptoms, but then in the end, they don't get you well. So the website is really me trying to write nutrition articles that aren't being written everywhere else. So like, if you follow certain functional medical doctors, like I used to, like Chris Kresser or something, they're going to tell you one thing, and you're never going to get to the finish line. So my goal with the website is to write nutritional articles that are actually relevant right now, that correlate and support the low vitamin A concept, as well as low copper, low aldehyde, everything you're teaching in Love Your Liver. And that's why I send so many people your way, is because obviously I'm not a doctor. So my hope is that people come to the website maybe through recipes or through one nutritional post, and then they end up seeking complete wellness and either seek you out or find Love Your Liver. Or I also do like health coaching, but I'm a little more limited, obviously. So when someone comes to me for health coaching, it's typically more like dietary based, like if they have been eating a standard American diet, or they're set on the foods they've been eating. My goal is to help equip them and get them to learn how to do a low vitamin A diet, low copper diet. So I used to take clients who are on all kinds of diets, like AIP, keto, Whole30, Ancestral, and now I only take clients who are interested in overcoming vitamin A toxicity, copper toxicity through a low vitamin A, low copper diet. And then lastly, like the blog, I create recipes. So if someone were, looking for a hard to find recipe, that there aren't a million of them already out there because they're looking for a recipe for their restricted diet, then that's what I love doing. I love recipe innovating. So I create like low vitamin A, oat flour sourdough bread, for example, is one I just published last week. My hope being that they're nutritious and gentle and correlate with everything we need to be mindful of when we're doing the low vitamin A diet.
That's awesome. So you've been doing this how long now, the low vitamin A thing?
So 6.5 years.
Okay. So let's dive into your personal health history and how you found the low vitamin A diet, and then what happened to your health after starting it.
Sure. So I think I'm like a lot of people. I was given fluoridated water as a child. I wasn't breastfed. I was given a ton of antibiotics. by high school, I had Epstein-Barr virus and mono. I then became a vegetarian. So just like everything you hear, it's pretty common. A lot of us would say these things. I did them all, or a lot of them. And so by the time I was in college, I got my first autoimmune disease. Kind of sounds like it was an accomplishment, but obviously it wasn't. It's pretty young to start getting sick. And that's becoming obviously more and more common these days. So got my first autoimmune disease in college. And then after I got married at 23, went on birth control pills. So, just like keeping one thing onto the next. And so then when we decided we wanted to have kids, went off birth control and had 2 years of infertility. And then ended up being able to get pregnant 3 times. But with each pregnancy, my labors were really, really hard. And each of my children ended up being sick in various ways, whether it was like asthma, really bad colic, constipation, just all kinds of tongue issues. I mean, you name it. We had everything going on in our house with challenges. And so that's when we decided to start doing the restricted diets. Oh, and I should mention with my final birth, my son, who's 16 now, my breast milk was tangerine colored. And yeah, it was like fluorescent bright tangerine. And I can remember my midwife just standing back like this with her arms crossed, just looking at me like, what do I do with you? On the phone with the medical doctor, like, what do I do with this person? And they said, just keep nursing, that it won't toxify the baby. Just keep. So.
Oh man.
I know. So I can't even imagine my level of toxicity in vitamin A for my milk to be that bright orange. It was crazy. So anyways,
and you were eating really healthy at the time, right? Of course.
An ancestral diet. I'd like several sourdoughs going and raw milk and all the things. Right. Exactly. So I got to a point after the third kiddo where I woke up in the morning and my hands were like this, like I couldn't open my fingers. I had such bad arthritis in my hands and a rash all over my face. And Wardy is actually the one who told me about the GAPS diet, Wardy Harmon of Traditional Cooking School. So I was, my eyes were open to the fact that I was addicted to sugar. So I started on the GAPS diet, but it ended up being this trap, basically. I did see some initial improvement for sure, because I pulled all the sugar out of my diet and grains out of my diet. But we ended up being in this cycle for like 6 years where I was too low carb and I was eating super high vitamin A. I was eating, liver and winter squash and all the things. And so I think it's important for people to know, and they probably do, but a lot of times these diets will get you well at first and then they'll make you sicker. And so that's what happened to me. So I actually ended up getting Hashimoto's while I was on the GAPS diet. And I remember I literally cried when the doctor told me, because I'd been working so hard for so many years.
So that was, how many autoimmune diseases were you at that point?
Right. Good question. I probably
diagnosed.
That was definitely my third. So I had sarcoidosis, Raynaud's, and then Hashimoto's. So that was probably 3. I ended up with 6. So
no arthritis autoimmune. Did they diagnose that?
No, because pulling the sugar, I was in bed for 2 weeks when I pulled sugar out, and this went away when I pulled the sugar out. So it was never formally diagnosed. It was just that it was horrible, but I didn't get a formal diagnosis. So, so it helped with some things initially, but it didn't help obviously long-term. And I was also eating a huge amount of fat on the GAPS diet. I'm naturally thin and I love fat. And so the GAPS diet gave me permission to eat as much fat as I wanted. So I was just, loading in the vitamin A and the fat and the copper. So let's see. I think one thing that I didn't realize at the time was the mental health piece that was happening to me. And I think it's helpful to talk about that because it's maybe not talked about enough. But when I was born as a little girl, even in my crib, I was like singing out of happiness in my crib. I was such a happy baby. And I'm kind of like a golden retriever type personality in general. And during those years on the GAPS diet and postpartum, I became irritable, grumpy, anxious, very stressed. I could probably find lots more words to describe it, but I was critical of other people. My thoughts would ruminate. I just went to this darker place and I started isolating more at home, partially because I didn't feel well, but partially I think I became kind of just more antisocial as well as critical of others. So I don't think that piece is talked about often enough. And we just have to give grace to people who are sick if they're grumpy, that's part of it. Like, that you can be kind of a less kind person, even in your thoughts, when you're not doing well physiologically. And so, so eventually I phased off of the GAPS diet. And I started just doing more of like a paleo ancestral diet. I added in carbs, which was helpful, but I was eating dark chocolate and lots of it. And so I think it's interesting that like the whole HPA axis glands that they stimulate the liver to produce this copper binding protein. And my stress mechanism, my stress glands weren't working well. And so that copper binding protein wasn't being produced. So I had so much copper, and then I was adding dark chocolate to it as well. And I mean, so I was just so unwell, and I was basically on the path to getting new autoimmune diseases.
Did you feel better from the chocolate though?
Yes, but only briefly. And so what would happen would be I was a super intentional mother. Like I love my kids so much. I was homeschooling. I was doing so much to enjoy them and read books to them and play with them. But all of a sudden I'd get super angry. Like, so I'd eat the chocolate, I'd feel euphoric. And then within like 2 hours, I'd be like, why are you doing that? Or, whatever. I'd get too angry. Instead of being like flexible and calm and kind and patient and all the things we want to be as parents. Yeah. And that was a wake up call. So I took myself off chocolate when I noticed I was doing that. But I just, can look back now and say that was copper toxicity. Like it was in my brain. I mean, I can go on and on about the number of ways copper has manifested now that I know what it was and is. So anyways, that was important. And so I was still tired though. So I didn't have the coffee. The caffeine from the chocolate. And so
or the copper. The thing I just wanted to add is copper is like a huge stimulant. People don't realize that like many toxins, like many drugs are stimulants. And so people like it because they chocolate has caffeine or xanthines in it, and then it's got copper in it. Mm-hmm. And then it's also got some other toxic metals, cadmium and lead, depending upon what you're getting. And then you feel that boost.
Yes.
It's a toxic boost, right? I mean, cocaine gives people a toxic boost. I mean, so, but I wanted to add that when I used to be more toxic, I remember getting angry with my kids and having an issue with that. And then as I got less toxic, that just went away, and I'd start to go, why did I get so angry like so quickly back then? Yeah. And now I see it and I go, it's just gone. So I really want to emphasize what you're saying about folks like we can say, I mean, is getting mental health therapy, counseling, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you, is that generally a good thing? Yes. However, if it's a biochemical thing messing with your brain, you can't fix that with all the therapy in the world, because as they say, it's like posture. People will say, oh, so you hold good posture. And the problem is once you stop thinking about it, it goes, right? So Same thing with your mental health, right? If it's a biochemical thing, you can breathe and calm yourself down and do whatever techniques. Yeah. But as soon as you stop doing it, the biochemistry is right back. And that's one thing that people have trouble recognizing is it's a biochemical thing. So anyway, I want to let you keep going, but go ahead.
No, that's so good. I'm so glad you said that. And it's basically like an addiction. So just like coffee that you go to every day to feel normal. Yeah, I was going to that copper. I mean, so I was, whether you want to call it chocolate, caffeine, the other compounds in chocolate, but yeah, I was going for that electric energy that copper gave me. And so when I took away the chocolate, I tried to find something else that was like gentle and healthy that would make me feel good. And Peak Tea came out with this ceremonial grade matcha, which you've taught is the whole green leaf ground up instead of steeped. And so you're getting more vitamin A. Well, I would make myself these matcha tea lattes with raw milk. And then here's the most amazing thing. I would add cocoa butter. So
this is like a bulletproof coffee variation, right?
Yes.
Nice.
It's so delicious. And I feel like my hedonism, like if I'm hedonistic, it's all about like a hot, creamy beverage. So this was like my happy cup. And you taught me that there's stearic acid also in cocoa butter, which exacerbates vitamin A toxicity. So I called them my vitamin A fire bombs when I figured out what I'd been doing to myself. But so I was drinking these cocoa butter matcha tea lattes every day and loving them so much. And I already had histamine intolerance at this point. That had crept in as well at this point. I also had endometriosis at this point. And the next thing that fell on me was depression.
Hmm.
And I was still homeschooling. I had, my young kids at home, and I was actually like so depressed. And I'm usually so happy in my brain that I was like, this is one thing I can't do. Like, there's no way I can be a mom. And I prayed about it. I prayed earnestly to God that he would show me what to do to get out of the depression. And I searched and searched on the internet, as I know many people have, and I found the low vitamin A diet. So within a day, I was doing it. That's how desperate I was. And because I was low histamine, I immediately put myself on egg white. Back then, I didn't know about sulfur foods or anything, right? Or copper in mushrooms. I was eating egg white omelets with mushrooms and peeled russet potatoes. And within 2 days, the depression was gone. So it worked really fast. And within 2 weeks, my histamine intolerance was gone, and I was able to add in beef. So I had really, really fast results on the low vitamin A diet. And this was in the early years. This was 6.5 years ago. I didn't yet know about taking activated charcoal to bind with it, to bind with toxins in the gut, to protect you from other symptoms. So I think I kind of did a clumsy version, and yet I still made incredible progress. I stayed even on cream and butter for a while because I'm naturally a rebel. And I just kind of was like, holding on to my ancestral things that I loved so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of kept more fat in my diet than I should have, but I still made progress. So it's encouraging. There's kind of a whole spectrum. And if someone is willing to do it, whole hog, that's awesome. That's better. But it is encouraging that for those of us that are really sick, when you pull out the multivitamin and you pull out the cod liver oil and you pull out a lot of the things, you're going to see progress. Most people, I think, because we're just so toxic.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add one thing that you did that I advocate here, which was basically when you were saying you were praying for the solution to come.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely critical. The saying, God helps those who help themselves,
mm-hmm.
right? When you're asking God to give you a solution, then you're asking for, how can I help myself?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also priming your mind to be ready for the solution to arrive.
Nice.
So and then it just, I think things seem to happen better that way. Just what I'm getting at is, don't ask for things to be given to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't ask for the solution to just disappear.
Right.
It's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not going to learn from it or learn how to get out of it and build agency that way, then it's probably not going to happen. So praying for solutions is just, that's seriously, my praying for solutions is like, I'm praying, I'm in my mind, I'm praying for a solution about this.
Yes.
And it's that easy. And it really works. So I just wanted to add that you did exactly what I advocate. And then all of a sudden this came to you,
mm-hmm.
and then you did it and you got fast results. So I just wanted to emphasize that, because I think that's really the way I think things work the best. So let's go to this. So then, well, wait, so let's, can we progress more on how things went away?
Sure.
With your progress with the diet?
Yeah. So I don't have it like perfectly in my mind, exactly like the exact timetable.
I get it.
But basically the Hashimoto's was the next thing that went away. And I had an in-town naturopathic doctor who now I haven't seen in like 5 years because I haven't needed to go to her. But I went to her, and she was always great with labs. And she looked at my thyroid labs, and she's like, you need to get off your meds. Like your Hashimoto's is in remission. And so that was amazing, obviously. And I know that other people in the program have had that happen as well. And then the next thing that happened, which was really quite amazing, was I was able to get off digestive aids, which I had been on for years. And I always needed HCl with pepsin, or digestive bitters were my big thing. I stayed on digestive bitters, even though they were bright yellow. I stayed on them through the first few years of the diet because I needed them.
Well, I might not have said that stuff about it back then. I may not have been talking about the yellow and all of those things. I may not have been as emphatic about it. I didn't know about aposematism and bitterness and yellows and oranges and reds and all that stuff. So it's not, don't think it's your fault. But also I want to add, if that's a crutch, right? We would call it a crutch
mm-hmm.
or a Band-Aid. We talk about this all the time. Like, it's okay to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
If you need it for them to keep things functioning, like, do as much as you can or you're willing to on the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you still need the crutch, it's okay. That's if you break your leg and you're in a cast, like, you need crutches so you don't hurt the cast. Like, if you need something to help you digest,
mm-hmm.
it's better to digest taking something, that may be a little toxic than to not digest.
Right.
So yeah, I want to emphasize that even if I had, if it was, even if we all knew that you were like, well, I'm taking these bitters, but I shouldn't be. And then you're beating yourself up too. Then mentally you're going, I'm willingly taking something that I know that I think is bad for me. Well, that's not going to help you either. So if you just, like, as you're saying, give yourself some grace and take what you need to, knowing that as you get better, you'll likely be able to let it go.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. And I love that about the program in general. I feel like it's so open to different bodies and different processes. And, you know, while there's basic principles, people can flex depending on what they need. And there's a gentleness in the group as far as understanding different people's give and take, different people's needs, different people's cravings, you know, just there's grace, which I love. We have the similar goals, but and similar principles, but it's okay. There's some wiggle room there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then that was amazing. I mean, that was just huge for me because I'd been taking digestive aids for 10 years. So to be able to get off all of it and be able to eat chicken or beef without anything, it was just mind blowing for me.
So what we're doing, wait, we got the histamine intolerance gone. We got the Hashimoto's gone. We got the digestion better.
Yes. Okay. Yes. As well as the depression, which was the first thing to go. So huge mental health gain. And then the next, I think, must have been the endometriosis, which I was taking DIM, calcium D-glucarate, and black cohosh. I had major estrogenic symptoms, which makes sense with how copper toxic I was. And so I think I can't remember what came first, but I know that the zeolite was a huge win for me with the copper toxicity. And the other huge win is, and I know you have this in your show notes or description, but if you work with Sarah at EMF Solutions, I wear this every day. Before I found, you know, her work and learned, I was using EMF blockers, and I had to wear a glove on my hand all day, every day for like 2 years. So if you see any pictures of me during this certain period of time with my kids out at the park, anywhere, I was always wearing this glove, or I had it in my purse because I couldn't hold my phone unless I had this glove on. And because I work on my computer all day, I couldn't touch my computer without the glove on. What I found is that when I put this on, there must have been so much copper activity going on in my hand and wrist that it wasn't able to detox. It was like too busy being used. And so as soon as I put this on, those copper pathways weren't being used anymore. I was able to detox that copper. So I actually made really big gains with the EMF solution products. We also have like the whole house, you know, we have it under our pillows. We have it on my phone, on my computer. But I will say this was the first thing I got, and it was a big win for me. So yeah, overcame endometriosis, was able to get off all of those 3 herbs, got my energy back, got like hormone balance back. I'm in menopause, have no menopausal symptoms at all.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just amazing, right? Amazing hormone balancing.
Well, you follow I mean, one of the things that I like to remind people of when somebody like yourself comes around that groks the principles and the framework where you get that, you know, even like with the bitters, I was saying, like, it's okay to keep the crutch. It's okay. Like a lot of people, folks, many of us out there are here because we overdo things, right? We like jump on these diets that we think are healthy, and we're going to overdo it, and we're going to do everything right. And we're going to get almost into that purity spiral where it's like, everybody's like telling other people like, oh, you're not doing this. Oh, you're not doing this. You got to do this, and you got to do this more and do it harder. When people are, you know, the definition of insanity, right, is when you do something, you're doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results, and you want to get out of it, right? Don't do the insane thing and keep doing it. So we kind of say, like, if things aren't working, maybe do less of it. And that's a big thing. And you really got that. And you were just, I don't know, you caught on to the principles, and then you fixed your stuff, and then you're sharing it with other people, which is amazing. That's really what we're after here. So now we get to go after, I remember my like health issues going away. I did want to emphasize the Hashimoto's. There was somebody in the Love Your Liver program who was asking about thyroid stuff like this. And not to brag, but we do have Hashimoto's folks who do. I think this person had been in the program for like maybe 3 months. And I want to emphasize this. You know, most doctors, influencers, whatever, wouldn't talk about this. But somebody in the program said they started doing the Love Your Liver stuff, and their Hashimoto's enzymes or their Hashimoto's antibodies went up. Okay. Like they kind of were, they had been higher in the past. They had come down before the program, and then they started the program, and then they went up. Normally, like, why would I talk about this? Because it makes things look bad. Okay, folks, we've seen this happen with liver enzymes too. People have high liver enzymes in the past, and they kind of get them lower with herbs and whatever, like you were taking all the estrogen herbs, right? They go lower, and then they start the program, and then these things go up. Okay. We do not, I mean, if modern medicine understood autoimmunity, don't you think they'd do a better job with it? They're terrible with it. So autoimmunity, these are antibodies. Antibodies bind to toxins. Liver enzymes make glutamate. That's what they do. So your body, when it's going through these phases, is trying to fix things. So we always look at the symptoms first. Are your symptoms improving? The labs are our map. The labs tell us, here you are, here's where we want to go. Like, we want to get to this place, here's where you are now. But the program, the framework, the principles and concepts is saying just like Google Maps might have 5 different ways you can get between those 2 places, each person might have a different way. Like what I was saying, to these folks, when they go, my labs, oh my gosh, my labs, I say, well, I always remind them, would you rather have perfect labs and feel like crap? Or would you rather have labs that get a little weird while you're fixing things, and then they get a lot better? And then your problems are gone and your labs are better. So this is the quick fix that people want. It's not a quick fix. It comes, and then it's just things can look a little rough along the way. Like when you clean up things, they often get dirtier first. You're still cleaning the whole time. But it takes a while to get over that hump until they're clean. So let's get into your kids now. So what was it like raising kids with the low vitamin approach? And did they or do they follow the same diet as you, or the principles, or what are they doing?
Sure. So I had 2 boys. They both did 3 years on the Love Your Liver. So 3 years each of very low vitamin A.
How old?
So high school and junior high at the time. And then we also adopted our 4th child from Africa. And when she came home, she was super vitamin A toxic, orange poop. And the diet over there is really high in leafy greens and sweet potatoes. And then they fortify, obviously, formula. So like a lot of the babies, that are in shelters are given formula that is fortified with vitamin A. So she was super toxic. So I felt so blessed to be able to help her and get her body lined up or healed. So the advantage of having a little one is you have a lot more control over them and their diet than the big ones. So the big ones each did 3 years. Now the oldest, I actually have an older one too, who's 23. She's married and moved out. The story with her is she did GAP. She did all the things. And we were able to overcome some of her health issues, in various ways, but she still has some vitamin A toxicity, copper toxicity. She's coming back to me now as a woman and asking me for help. She's had her first baby. And so I'm here for whatever she wants. Like, that wonderful book you've mentioned a couple times called Let Them. That is my principle. I like that principle. I'm here as a loving mama when she wants me, but I'm also not going to impose my beliefs on her. I think a lot of it she agrees with, but she also wants to enjoy life and, her husband and all those things. So when she wants me, I'm here. Similarly, the 22-year-old, he's off becoming a pilot right now. He has these ideas in his head, but what I'm happy about for him is he's out in nature a lot. And I think we can't underemphasize that if there are people who are exercising, sweating out in nature and have very little natural stress, they're going to have, benefits health-wise that are immeasurable. And so I'm so thankful for his disposition. He's naturally a super laid-back guy. He doesn't thankfully eat a lot of foods that are super high in vitamin A or copper. So we'll just see. He's the one that was the worst off when he was little. I'm guessing at some point it's going to come back to bite him. But I'm glad that his lifestyle is such that it's low stress, and we'll see what happens. Then I have a 16-year-old in high school. I just try to create a happy medium for him now. He did 3 years. I would say his diet is still low vitamin A and pretty low copper, but at school he'll cheat, he'll eat little things. But what I love about him is he will pick up everything and make sure it doesn't have vitamin A added. So like he goes to summer camp and they have milk that's fortified with vitamin A. They have breakfast cereal that's fortified with vitamin A. Krusty's pancake mix, he'll pick it all up and he will not eat anything that's been fortified. He will still eat watermelon. Like there are things, but I say just don't eat 20 pieces, eat 5, that kind of thing. I mean, I do what I can. So that's him. And then the 7-year-old, I think it's worth talking about just in terms of like, to what extent do we compromise and to what extent do we not? I would say if you have a relationship with your child where they're not questioning you, then gain all the progress you can while you have that level of control over their diet and do it like whole hog, like completely, right? For Goldie, she like grew up in a shelter where she was occasionally given candy. And so if her tongue tastes candy or she sees other kids eating it, that's a source of like sadness for her that she can't share. And so I actually appreciated when Matt Stone came on and he was interviewed by you. And he shared that he eats Skittles. I was like shocked actually, but also kind of encouraged. Like I loved your response to him, which was really supportive. Like everybody's doing their own thing. And so I cannot believe I'm saying this, but since it's like right around Halloween time, she had like a little fall harvest party at her school. I knew that Skittles had no vitamin A in them. So I let her have a bag of Skittles. I said, don't eat any of the red ones because I think they might be more toxic. And she was totally sweet and didn't eat any of the red ones. So I try to compromise occasionally in ways that would have like scandalized my brain 5 years ago. But on the whole, she's got as strict of a diet as I do. Like I make us homemade bread. She eats a ton of grass-finished, beautiful beef every day. Very high protein. She eats lots of apples for fiber. We eat, tons of oats and homemade oat bread. So her diet's super clean. And those exceptions are occasional just so that she doesn't miss out and feel like she's the only kid at school that doesn't get these things. So that's about where we are.
Yeah, no, that's great about the kids and restricting them from candy and this, especially around Halloween time, since we're talking about it. Like I was never a sweet tooth person in general. So saying no to candy and stuff, I remember I used to in long years past, I used to eat some Halloween candy, but I always kind of got an upset stomach from it. And now it doesn't even register on my brain. And then I've got my 17-year-old daughter who's definitely got a sweet tooth. But she was talking about, okay, she goes trick-or-treating with her girlfriend in one of the fancy neighborhoods where they get the big candy bars and whatever. And she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my candy this year. And I was kind of in my head, I knew that meant she wasn't going to eat it. She said, oh, well, I'll take it to dance and I'll give it to the girls in the classes if they want it. And I was like, that's better than you eating it, And then I don't know what my son's going to do. My son's he's 14 and he's lifting weights. And so he's probably going to be like, I'm just going to eat all the candy I feel like. Yeah. But we actually, just so you guys, if you haven't ever heard of it, there are some dentists who will take candy and give you some sort of something in return. So anyway, that's just out there. If your kids want to get rid of their candy for like, I think they give them a little toy or something. I don't know, something like that. But there's places where you can give away the candy and hopefully they just toss it. Right. But I do think that me not being, well, first of all, right, what we can do is we can model. We can not eat it and just be like, I don't care about it. It's not a big deal. And then I know a lot of us we do things now as adults that our parents were against just because our parents were against it.
Right.
And so that kind of let them theory, you still want to have control over what your kids eat because kids don't know what to eat and there's tons of crap out there, but also not being like a tyrant about it and saying you can't have any. I think that helps. And that's what I'm trying to do with my kids, where they're seeing me just not do it. And then we have desserts on holidays and stuff like that, but desserts are not a normal thing in our house. And that's all. So yeah, I think it sounds like you're doing great. And the kids are doing great.
We do a lot of fruit. I should say that too, like green grapes. I even let them have blueberries. I think each of us as parents, you can kind of judge your child's like how much they're willing. And there's a certain breaking point and you don't want to go there. And so you give as much as you need to so that they're cooperative cheerfully. And if there's a point at which you see them kind of breaking, okay, that's too far. They can only handle so much. So like I let my 16-year-old eat like a lot of fruit. And I mean, there's just concessions you make, so that everyone's happy. You don't want, like you said, years later for them to be traumatized. And I think my oldest was from GAPS diet. She ate a lot of Oreos when she finally left the house. So that was not good. That was a reaction to the GAPS diet, I'm sure, and all of the restrictions. So yeah, we have to find that balance.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what are some of the things you do differently or that you've learned since you've been on the low vitamin A diet for 6.5 years? Anything on top of what you've already said?
Like when you say things I do differently, like lifestyle stuff, maybe
along the way. Let's say, well, you were talking about at the start where you're doing lots of, I think, egg whites,
okay,
and like the histamine stuff, and so like what like speed bumps or roadblocks along the way did you realize later you could have done better around?
Okay. Well, I think starting 6.5 years ago, I think I first learned about the diet from reading Grant Genero's books. And so I didn't have your wisdom or the insights that you contributed. And I also, partially I was a rebel, partially I'm just busy. And so I really wasn't in Love Your Liver as much as I should have been for the first couple years. So I would say like that was one of the mistakes I made, was I should have been in Love Your Liver all the time, reading more. And I know even you refined a lot of that. And so it kept improving. But I think starting that many years ago was a disadvantage. I'm glad I did, because I got a head start in some ways on getting vitamin A out of me. But I also think I hit a lot more hiccups back then than people would hit now. So I would have started activated charcoal right from the beginning, which I didn't know I should have been doing. And boy, all of the things you've added, I would just be, add my exclamation points about. So like nicotinic acid, MSG, zeolite, I've had gains with all of those. Each one I could give a testimony to the benefits. I even got what you call the COOF, and I did like super high levels of zeolite while I had it. And I just let myself be sick. And it was so much better than the other way of going through it. Like earlier, I've had it 3 times now. The first couple times I took NAC for my lungs. Mm-hmm. It was just so wonderful to like be calm, not be stressed about it, know that I had extra bile in my blood, I had a fever, and to just take really high amounts of zeolite and just rest. And it just was a much smoother process. And then the nicotinic acid, I do the sauna thing. Also, I get on my treadmill, I walk at a steep incline, and then I go hop in the sauna. I've had major gains from that. I think that like one of the pieces I would say is really important that a lot of people don't talk about is joy, like working on mental health. And I probably do that more, maybe because I need to more than other people, maybe because I got myself in that rut with the copper and some bad brain patterns. I actually started doing this program called DNRS that's like a brain retraining. And I did that for maybe 8 months, which is how I overcame my chemical sensitivity, which I haven't mentioned yet. But in addition to being sensitive to oxalates and EMFs, I was also sensitive to chemicals. So yeah.
The DNRS, that's like mental emotional stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, I think Kelsey brought that up to me the other day about there's another one that she mentioned, and then she mentioned DNRS.
Yep.
And there's a lot. I do think, okay, the reality of it, I'll make this quick because I don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, once they get sick, they get into these loops.
Yep.
Where they actually are convincing themselves to stay sick or to have stronger reactions to things than they need to. Mm-hmm. And this DNRS, Kelsey mentioned it, and then there was another one she mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be super helpful. So you're giving your testimony, and I want to let you continue. Yeah. But Kelsey just brought that to my attention, and she was like, there's a lot of people in the program who are kind of staying sick because it's here.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So keep going.
Yeah, I partially found it for my 16-year-old son, who I thought like erred on the side of like a little bit of downward, like down mood. And I thought if I do it with him, I can address my chemical sensitivity at the same time. And so, yeah, so it targets people who can't get well. So people who've tried every doctor, everything. Of course, they haven't found the low vitamin A. But what's amazing is people heal themselves simply through retraining their brain. So people with fibromyalgia, things that are basically incurable, they are like, dancing and walking and working, and they're 100% well through DNRS. And it does take a big time commitment. It's 45 minutes to an hour a day. But it works. And yeah, we basically get into this habit of saying like, I don't feel well today, and repeating our symptoms to ourselves over and over again. So it might be that I say to myself, I might wake up in the morning and say like, I don't feel well today. Or I might call my friend or talk to my husband and say like, I have a headache, or like, I just don't feel well, whatever. But we're repeating these things and making them increasingly true. And we're believing them as truths about ourselves. And she just wipes that option off the table and teaches you how to retrain your brain. And you go to these places of euphoria, which basically create hormones that heal you. So it's amazing. It's very powerful. And it's maybe like $300 or something. It's well worth the investment. It's really a time commitment. But yeah, I think for people who are stuck, and people who are stuck with weird things like my chemical sensitivity, it's like, how am I ever going to overcome this? It's thing like DNRS, or there is one other, and I've seen the other one as well. I looked at both programs and ended up choosing Annie's, but I don't remember the name of the other one. I think they're both good. I think the biggest thing is being willing to stick with it.
The other one that Kelsey mentioned, I think, is called the Gupta program.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Is that one? Maybe there's an Indian person who heads that one up.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I forget which one she did. Kelsey did one of them, and she said it got her like 30% better.
Yes.
From just doing that. So I think we're going to bring that in. Actually, I wanted to expand on that. I've talked about this before, and we're going to be working on a new thing for sleep apnea stuff that's going on. But when we get toxic, you know how you were saying, okay, so there was the depression and all that stuff, and then you detox and that gets better. And then you did the DNRS, and that helped a lot with your chemical sensitivity. And then a lot of people are finding, let's say that they have physical ailments because of toxicity. And let's say you fix the toxicity and then the physical ailment improves so that you don't hurt anymore. However, just like, let's say people get sick and they get these mental loops, or they're like repeating. I've actually gotten into that where I'll say, I'm tired.
Yep. That's it.
I'm going, wait, why even say it? Like, why even bother saying that? And then I've actually done it a couple times where I'm just like, I feel great. Like I'm feeling tired, but then I just go, I feel great. Like, and for a couple minutes, like it will feel tons better.
Yes.
So I may need to do some of this too. Cause I mean, we all have these things, but what I was getting into was like original strength is it's like if you think of your software is broken from the toxicity. So the toxicity can get in the way of your muscle function. As we'll get into in the apnea thing, where people's tongues actually go like too flaccid and it falls back in their throat. Well, funny thing about copper toxicity is something like 79% of people with Wilson's disease, which is really deep copper toxicity, have sleep disorders, like sleeping stuff like apnea. And there's other research connecting copper to this. So here's the idea that we'll get into in a future episode is, what if that just makes your tongue specifically like weak and dumb?
Wow.
And then it doesn't work. And then as we get less toxic, we can just, we like rehab it. And then all of a sudden it works again, because now you're not toxic and you've rehabbed the muscle. Or if you've got other stuff going on, like with back pain, we rehab that stuff. The problem is, I've used this example before, is like if somebody breaks their back, well, they broke their back, like their legs don't work. So once their back has healed, then they're going to have to literally learn how to walk again. So if we had damage from toxicity, we may have to learn. The muscles need to relearn, and the original strength actually takes people through the development phases of a baby. So you go from like breathing, learning how to breathe again, and then you go into nodding, just nodding your head, and then you go into rocking. You know how kids will rock before they start crawling, and then you go into, I don't know if it was rocking or rolling, but rolling over, and then you get into the cross crawl of crawling, and then you get into walking, and then you get into running. So you reprogram these things from the bottom up. And so I really love the original strength stuff. I actually just learned about a foot rehab thing, because I think a lot of people's feet are messed up. You know, there's the thing in Chinese medicine where they say people die from their feet up. If your feet are really jacked up from tight shoes and just wearing thick shoes, and all your feet are basically weak and dumb, we can retrain that. And that has effects all the way up. So we're going to be working on bringing out some of these things into the program. But I wanted that DNRS, if people want to go look into that, go ahead. The Gupta program, Kelsey and I will probably be making something for the program just to guide people towards this. Because folks, if you're not getting better and you're doing everything right, it doesn't mean it's bad if you have something, bad habits or bad loops going on up here. It's something that you can fix, and it will be, I mean, think about that, $300 for that program.
Right.
That may be the most cost-effective thing you ever do for your health, if this is where the location is, if that's what's going on. So anyway, so let's get into, well, you kind of went over that, but do you have any favorite tips about things that helped you with detoxing vitamin A or copper? Anything that you found other than, I mean, you already mentioned the supplements, but if you want to mention them again.
Right. So I guess I mentioned the joy piece, and I would just add to that, like I also kind of said this, but getting out in nature. And one of the things you learn in DNRS is that you want to create experiences of euphoria as much as you can. So when you think about children and how they play, we as adults want to get back to that, to be in our optimum healthiest state, physically as well as mentally. And it's hard because as adults, when we get sick, we get uptight and we get set in our ways. But what we want to do is kind of be the opposite. We want to learn to be more flexible and to relax again. And I think getting out in nature, getting light, that's like, those are two of the, so for me, I respond really well to light. Like I have to get a lot of it. I have a Sperti lamp. Before I had the Sperti, I did go to tanning beds. I get huge benefits from light exposure. But what I find is if I can get out and get hiking or go to the beach or whatever, I have these amazing euphoric experiences. Those are very healing. And I've had multiple times where I'm on a vacation and I actually have a symptom go away because I'm experiencing so much euphoria regularly. And there are different ways you can do that. Like if you like to listen to music, or, I mean, like as for me, I'm a Christian. So like, I like to actually praise God, like, whether it be actually in a state of prayer where like I draw near to him and that's like a very joyful place for me, or I'm singing to him, or even if I put on dance music, I'm like a crazy dance lady. I love dancing. I can put on dance music. If I'm feeling down, I will literally grab my phone, grab Spotify and put on dance music, and I will dance like a crazy woman just to pull up all that euphoria. And that is healthy. So it's just kind of getting that playfulness back that we've lost in our years of being sick. And then, like you said, you stop comforting yourself with how bad you feel, because it becomes like a friendship relationship where you just say like, I don't feel well. It starts feeling good to name your symptoms. Complaining starts feeling good. We have to go the opposite way and teach ourselves, sing and hike and praise and pray and go to all the joyful places. So that's been huge. And then I guess the one other thing I would add is like having a buddy. For me, it's Wardy. Harmon, who we talked about a minute ago, and you've interviewed her. She and I meet once a week and we share where we are in our process. Like, so we always share our symptoms. We always share what supplements we're taking, where we are with all of it. And troubleshooting with her over the years has been really fun. We've both improved each other's ability to dose things like potassium, nicotinic acid, and zeolite, like the things that are the hardest to dose. Yeah. And even like the way that we use the EMF solution tools. I mean, there's just lots of things that by bouncing it off someone, it helps. And not everybody has, a close friend that they're in the program with, but that is what's amazing about Love Your Liver, is there's so much networking and support that happens. It doesn't have to be one person. It can be multiple people, but just continually reaching out to people and troubleshooting, and then DMing people if you need to. I feel like that's been a huge benefit, because when I was on my own those first few years, I can be a very DIY kind of gal. I made more mistakes. And I think that the more you're talking to someone, the more new ideas you're going to get, and you can help them and they can help you. So that kind of trade-off is a real benefit.
Yeah, we all kind of slip at times, and having somebody else around who says like, oh, I did this and it helped. And then you go, oh, I should do that. Like I actually recently, I'll be honest, I'm not always great about my magnesium lotion. Love the stuff, but I forget. And all of a sudden, I kept telling myself, I need to do a magnesium bath. I need to do a magnesium bath. And it must have been like 3 months that I was telling myself that. And I finally did one the other night. And it was like 2 cups of mag chloride and 2 tablespoons of potassium chloride in there. So that's like that's twice as much as if I was doing them regularly, that's twice as much as I would normally do. And I got out of there and I just felt amazing. And I went, I've been slacking on my magnesium there. That's all the sign I need. So yes. I finally got that done. And my daughter's very regular with her magnesium baths for her dancing, but I had been slacking a lot. And so, yeah, having people to talk about with it where Kelsey and I will talk about
Yep.
stuff. And the other thing is about the joy thing. Okay, folks, as Megan was saying, getting outside. I mean, you can grounding and all that stuff would be great. That if you can do that too, that's great. There's these new socks called Konjoun, Konjoun. They're actually grounding socks that have protection in them that you could wear them outside. You could wear them wherever. I don't know if I'm going to wear toe socks.
Copper.
They what?
And they don't have copper.
They don't have copper. Yes, so that's good. And then I forget the other grounding shoes I got. I got a pair of grounding shoes that are silver to ground. So I avoid all the copper grounding stuff. Yep. But anyway, so the grounding is great. Kelsey knows that one of the things she can do, she lives on a lake. So she'll go down to the lake and put her feet in the water. Yep. So she's grounding in the water and then she's getting sun. Yes. So those things are great. Go for a walk outside. Like if you can, if you live somewhere that's dreary and cold all the time, I'm sorry. I don't think humans are really meant to live in those places. So if you live there, you got to do what you got to do. You need to get a Sperti lamp. You need to get a tanning bed membership or whatever, buy one or whatever. Just get some light in the summertime. And then the joy thing. One of the things that I was so lucky with in meeting Kelsey was that I like karaoke and she likes karaoke.
Nice.
And so when we get together, I mean, she has a karaoke, like a legit karaoke setup at her house.
That's awesome.
And then we go out together, and it's always like one of my favorite things about when we visit.
That is so great. I want to see you guys.
My big song is Frank Sinatra, New York, New York. That's my, nice. I kind of bring the house down with that one. It's pretty fun. Kelsey's just amazing at all of it. She's been practicing for so long. So anyway, yeah. So the joy thing, like folks, this is the reality. If you don't have things in your life that you do that make you happy, why are you expecting to be happy? Right? How can you expect that? If there's nothing that you do that actually, like, if you know out there, you know what brings you joy, you know what brings a smile to your face, why aren't you doing it? And if you're not doing it, why are you expecting to feel happy? Right? So I know for me, like exercise, like lifting, going to the gym, I know if I don't exercise on a regular basis, I start to get what we call moody. I get moody. And I know that going for a walk outside in my neighborhood in the sun, huge for my mood. I know if I'm just grumpy and I go out for that walk, I will come back and my mind will be clearer and I will just feel better. So do these things. Moving your body is critical. As I've said before, I haven't emphasized that enough in the program. You need to move your body to be healthy, both here and in your body. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy. Start with walking. Start with a vibration plate, if that's all, or rebounding, gentle rebounding. Start somewhere, but move your body. And then do things that bring you joy. That's an important one too. So we're getting a lot of the mental stuff that I normally don't cover a lot. So this is great. Okay. So then now we're going to talk about the clients that you work with.
Sure.
Okay. So do you find that the clients you help want to be all in and have kind of the quote unquote super strict prison diet kind of setup? Or do more of them want to find a bit of compromise and pleasure in a broader, more expansive diet? And then, so with those two kind of approaches, how do you help them succeed?
I think most people are ready to get well when they find the low vitamin A diet, low copper A diet. There are a lot of people who reach out to me who don't know about vitamin A toxicity yet, and they're just shocked when I share it with them. And I usually only have 60 to 90 minutes with the client, so I'm talking so fast to try to catch them up about what vitamin A toxicity is, so then I can just go forward and help them. So I talk as fast as I can to just give them the whole principles, and they almost always get it. And then they're like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do, which is awesome. Because I think I was more like sort of staunch in my rebellion. I was so, bound to my raw milk and those kinds of things. So I'm grateful most of my clients are willing to just do what it takes. Most people do not mind having a narrow diet. I mean, most people don't eat as narrowly as Grant does. Like, it's not usually just rice, beans, and meat. Most people have 5 to 10 foods and they're fine with that. If anything, I think the thing people ask for more than anything else is a bread. They're just like dying for bread. And if they've been eating grain-free or if they react to a lot of things, then they need something. And that's one of my fun little specialties is I like creating custom recipes for people. So I might be able to create like a unique waffle recipe. Waffles are really easy when you're a recipe creator because We're egg free, right? Like everyone who does this diet is egg free unless you cheat and want to have some egg whites or you have the occasional egg, whatever. No judgment here. But for the most part, I'm not going to create a baked good with eggs in it if I don't have to. And so I'm using psyllium husk and other things like that as tools to allow the rise. But waffles, they push steam into the bread and they cause it to rise. I mean, obviously you have a leavener as well, like baking powder or baking soda, but to create a whole loaf is harder. It's a harder recipe concept. But so there are many times I've created like a custom waffle for someone. They say, these are the only 5 ingredients I can have. I'm like, I'm positive I can make you a waffle. And that just gets them through the first few months on the diet. And then they can eat more foods after that. And then at that point, they can start making like the loaf recipes I've created. So a lot of times it's just getting someone like one thing that makes them feel full. And I think for a lot of people, it's bread. So I love doing a little bit of recipe innovation for people.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the whole reason I created the Love Your Liver program was because I saw what Grant was eating. And I was like, this could work. Like I saw Matt Stone's original blog post about, the low vitamin A thing. And he was talking about, all muscle meat carnivores, a guy who had been an all muscle meat carnivore for 10 years. And this was like start of the low vitamin A thing. So this was 7 years ago. And the guy had already been all muscle meat carnivore for 10 years to that point.
Wow.
And then he was saying, well, their eyes haven't fallen out of their head. And, I kind of started going, okay, so this could work.
Yep.
And then I started reading Grant's book and I went, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
Like I literally looked at it. I was like, I am not going to eat meat and beans and rice. So those of you out there who are doing it, congratulations. Like, I'm glad you can do that. If you're the type who needs like less choices because it makes it easier, awesome. And can you do that on the Love Your Liver program? Yes, absolutely. Was I ever going to do it? I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I will rebel. I'll be like, you tell me I can eat 3 foods. And I'm going to say, no, I'm going to eat other stuff. So I made the Love Your Liver program so we could get more foods in there because the principle was low vitamin A. And that's all I was looking at the start as we expanded into other things like copper and and aldehydes and all that other stuff as we went. But yeah, so we want to have a framework that can work for you. And if waffles are, well, the cool thing that you were saying about the waffles, like that's a very comforting food. Right. I mean, there's the bread part of it, but there's also like I mean this in a good way, like the childhood part of waffles.
Yeah. And you don't have to put syrup on them. Sorry to interrupt you. I should have said that. I'm not thinking about pouring tons of syrup on it, but you can put a little salt and eat it like toast, eat it like bread, and it's good savory. Sorry, please go ahead. My son will get a waffle at breakfast sometimes and he puts nothing on it. And I'm looking at it amazed. I'm going, okay. I mean, what am I going to complain? You don't put butter and you don't put syrup on your breakfast dessert. Like it's like, okay, great. He doesn't do that. But so like you're saying, the thing I wanted to bring up that you're saying is, so people come to you, they can eat like 5 things. Right. That's always a really rough situation for anybody to be in. But what we see with the low vitamin A program, remember folks, your allergies are vitamin A toxicity mainly. So as people start doing the low vitamin A diet, they start tolerating more foods. And that's exactly what Megan's saying she's seeing. And that's what we've seen. And we've even seen people heal, celiac. Yep. Where they were diagnosed celiac and now they're not. So this is the allergy thing, the food allergy thing. You got to remember at the start, just because you start the low vitamin A diet doesn't mean all your allergies disappear or whatever your health issue. Like just because if you're a diabetic and you start the Love Your Liver program and you start eating tons of carbs and you're like, why is my blood sugar going crazy? You're still a diabetic. You haven't fixed it yet. Like we got to fix it first before these things can be fixed in your body. So just always remember that just because you're doing this doesn't mean you're healed immediately. It takes time. So yeah, go ahead. To combine this, like 2 conversations we were having in a row, as far as like exercise and then, blood sugar issues. I just want to say for those people, I saw someone in the comments say, I still love syrup. I just want to say like, we're not perfect at our house either. And like, I probably have syrup once a month, but what I do is if I'm going to have something sweet, I either walk before the treat, after the treat, or both. And this is just a way to use up the sweetener before my body has to produce insulin to try to figure out how to deal with it. And it works really, really well. It is kind of why you can eat more foods when you're traveling, partially obviously abroad. In some countries, you're going to find cleaner ingredients. That's one of the reasons. But the other is there's so much walking that happens when you're traveling, right? And so you can get away with more. But here in America, we're so sedentary. And so, yeah, if you're going to have a treat, ask yourself first, can I walk before or can I walk after? And if you can't, don't have it, because you don't want your body having to process that sugar. But if you're going to use it up right away, you're just going to go get some good outside time and get some light, then, that's a good time to have a treat. It's a good way to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's go into, oh yes. Now we get into the gerbils. We get to get into the gerbils. So I understand you have a new science project that I just kind of mentioned in the works with gerbils. So what can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I actually have them behind me here, and I'm hoping I'm going to actually just stand up briefly and put some food. I've got some, I've got some soaked oats in here. So they have a 0 vitamin A diet, and I'm just going to put it in and see if we can get some
visual,
you guys to see. Yeah, there we go. See,
there they are.
There they are. So we've got 2 females and a male. I've named them all after minerals that I learned about from you, Dr. Smith. So we have Maggie, she's named after magnesium. We have Princess Z, she's named after zinc. And then we have Po Boy, he's named after potassium. So these are what I call the parent gerbils. And so basically I could not find gerbils that were young enough to do the experiments on, because so going back to 1925, the original rat studies were done that proved that vitamin A was a necessary nutrient were done wrongly. And Grant Jenner talks about that in his books. My goal with the gerbil experiments is to redo those studies and show that gerbils and humans do not require any vitamin A to thrive. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the rat studies, basically in 1925, 2 scientists created a diet that they thought had 0 vitamin A. And they thought that the rats died in 10 weeks of extreme vitamin A deficiency. But in fact, all the ingredients in their feed were vitamin A precursors. And then they heated them and created retinoic acid, so the most toxic form of vitamin A. And actually all the rats died of toxicity, extreme vitamin A toxicity. And they're literally like the epithelial cells in their eyes were falling off, like apart, like their tissues were falling apart. They were so diseased in 10 weeks. And that was vitamin A toxicity. And because they attributed it to vitamin A deficiency, that is what like the RDA and all of us, when we hear about the recommendations for vitamin A for like good eyesight and eat your carrots, that's all based on those original studies. So there was one in 1925, there were some before and some after, but they always used the same feed that was toxic in vitamin A that they thought was deficient in vitamin A. And then based all of our understanding on human needs of vitamin A on those studies. And so my goal is to redo the studies and show that animals can thrive on a 0 vitamin A diet with 0 symptoms. Now, these guys I acquired in May and June, and they don't count for the study because they're too old. They have to be younger for the study to be like officially successful. But Po Boy, this little tan guy here in front, he was actually about that age when we got him. It just didn't officially have his date of birth. So my goal is to mate these guys and get some babies. And then the studies that I'm going to do on my YouTube channel are going to be on the babies. And I'm going to do probably 3 different cages with 3 different diets. So I'll do one diet that is just like the parents, 0 vitamin A, actually 0. One, I've got all the ingredients over here from the original Wolbeck and Howe study in 1925. I've gathered casein and lard and brewer's yeast and a specific kind of iron. They're going to all be put together and made into a pellet, just like they were given. And then we're going to watch what happens with those animals. And we're going to know that there are precursors in that diet. We're going to see how the health of those gerbils responds. And then I may do a 3rd cage as well, where I give them kind of like a superfood diet of like lots of sweet potato and red bell pepper and that kind of thing, and see how it is similar to what happens to the Wolbeck and Howe diet that I create, which I think has value to see that. So yeah, so that's basically it. I'm having a little bit of a up and down roller coaster experience at first because I've had a couple of the babies die, so I'm now waiting for a new litter. So it'll be a couple months out. But if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the first like introductory or overview video that I've created that introduces this concept. And it's a good intro. I kind of neglected my YouTube channel for many years. But so if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see some weird older videos, but this is my new one, the one you're looking at there on the screen. And I'm so excited about these experiments. So there'll be about 10 videos in this series where I go ahead and talk about not only the gerbils and the experiment I'm doing with them, but also sort of like what are the ramifications of our current understanding of vitamin A. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is like mass supplementation in countries, like in the countries of Africa, as well as in the East, as well as many other countries. So like in Central and South America, throughout the East, and then in all of sub-Saharan Africa, the World Health Organization has targeted these places for mass vitamin A supplementation, and they are coercing the people into getting vitamin A. And that's all. A lot of them are not like, they don't have like these wicked schemes in mind. Some of them are truly doing it out of like feeling like the people are deficient. But like Dr. Smith has talked about, when vitamin A shows deficient in the blood, it's actually a protein and zinc deficiency. So if we want to do anything for these people, we need to be helping them with protein and zinc, not with vitamin A. Like 10 years ago, Canada contributed, I think it was 8 billion doses of vitamin A. And they have covered like 60% of the population of what they consider developing countries. And it's super condescending because they talk about educating the people as if we, the West, know better when we're the ones that are like doling out the Tylenol and all the harmful things. So I think it's important that the information gets out there that vitamin A is a toxin, and we should not be giving it to these people groups, forcing it upon them, coercing them, persuading them. They naturally are actually distrustful of vitamin A. So it's really interesting. So one of my videos, I'm just going to talk about the coercion and some of the things that are happening in Africa, and how getting the word out about its toxicity is really important, and why people are showing up with the vitamin A deficiency in their blood when they're actually needing protein and zinc, which I learned about from Dr. Smith. So I'm so excited about, the purpose of the videos.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like I wanted to expand just a bit on the food that they still use for animal studies, mice studies, rat studies. They take casein, right? The dairy protein, which has legitimately in the research, it has vitamin A in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they treat it with heat and alcohol. And they magically then say there's no vitamin A in it, right? But what they're testing for is retinol. And they're not testing for retinaldehyde or retinoic acid. And I don't know how alcohol detoxes anything, first of all, and heat. So heat would oxidize it and turn it into a different form that then when they look for retinol, it's not there. Now, another thing that I had in one of my vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist videos, I believe, is that they didn't even know that zinc was important in animal research diets until like, I think it was 1937. There was a paper called The Importance of Zinc in the Rat Diet. So not only did we have a massive, first of all, they didn't know what vitamin A was when they did those studies. It wasn't called anything. They just said there's this fat soluble thing that we think is in here. Mm-hmm. And they did their studies, and then later they named it. So they wouldn't be very good at finding something that they hadn't found yet, right? When do we make the biggest mistakes? When we learn something new, right? When we're doing something the first time. And then they didn't even, if you look at that diet, there was almost no zinc in it.
Right.
So we have like the two things that would make vitamin A toxicity the worst. Well, so you don't have the zinc to make retinol binding protein, and you've got an excess of vitamin A in the worst oxidized form. So it's really great that you're doing this research. And yeah, so I'm super excited to hear about it as it progresses. So then, well, you were kind of already mentioning this. This is to help, it's the animal studies are what led to the human research, right? So your plan is to help human nutrition research by doing this. And this is like, what I want to say, this is like guerrilla science. Like, I mean, as in GUE, guerrilla.
Yeah.
This is like real person. You're a real person out there showing this. So then what are they going to argue about it? Like, I mean, you will need to post the diet and all that stuff, but then, it's just like with folks, I'm not a veterinarian. We have all sorts of people in the Love Your Liver program who are giving their cats and their dogs a low vitamin A diet. Mm-hmm. And their cats and dogs are getting better. And they're putting sweet potatoes in animal food now. They're putting spinach in there. They're putting blueberries. When have you ever heard of a dog eating blueberries or sweet potatoes? Or pumpkin. That's the big favorite, right? Your dog's got gut problems. They'll give it pumpkin. Mm-hmm. It's just soluble fiber. That's what they're really trying to do, is to give the dog some soluble fiber. The problem is they're giving tons of vitamin A with it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is really great. I'm super excited that you're doing this, Megan. So I think we kind of covered everything of the basics that we wanted to do. Was there anything you wanted to add before maybe we go and take some questions out of the live chat?
Sure. I would just say one other thing, which is, and we alluded to it earlier, but not only are there people groups being persuaded to take vitamin A and giving it to their kids, and it's very high doses to babies, basically every 6 months, but we have countries that are mandatorily fortifying for us. So like it's happening in the United States right now, it's happening in Canada, it's happening in Mexico, Bolivia. There are many countries that fortify all the food staples of their people. And so like this is why this is why milk and flour, and like if you go to other countries, I know Matt Stone talked about like he could go to one country like Guatemala and the people would be overweight. He could go to another country and they wouldn't be overweight. And it matched exactly with which foods were being fortified with vitamin A. And so you can hardly escape it. So that's the other purpose of the experiment. And again, I'm just little old me, so I have no idea what kind of exposure this is going to get. And it'd be great if other people did it as well. But the point being, it's not only like, Africa, it's like our own country, it's Canada, it's governments doing it to their own people because they think that we are deficient. And so they're fortifying staples that we eat every day. So we obviously need that to end.
Right. They say we're deficient, right? And then yet I don't know if you guys know this, I don't always say this very often, but on the nutrition facts on labels, they used to require that they put the vitamin A content on it.
Right.
However, the very government who's supporting food fortification has now said that they don't have to put vitamin A on the nutrition facts anymore because vitamin A deficiency is so rare in the US. So wait, we're still fortifying things, and we're fortifying more things. Like they're fortifying energy drinks now with it. And apple juice. Kelsey showed me a treetop apple juice on her flight that had vitamin A palmitate added.
Exactly.
Like this is, I mean, we could say that the governments are trying to help, or we could say that they're
trying to make us sick. Yeah, we don't know.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, like with Africa, I have the liver biopsy studies from the 50s and 60s showing more than 50% of the population there was vitamin A toxic back then.
Right.
Now we have the South African studies with an isotope vitamin A study where they were showing that 74% of the kids there were vitamin A toxic. So they have this research is out there, but they're ignoring it for some strange reason. And then we're having all these kids being born jaundiced, and allergies are going through the roof. And, it's just sickness is going up everywhere. And you got people pushing organ meats like that, folks, you don't want to eat organ meats because your intuition and your visceral reaction to them is that they taste bad because they're full of toxicity. Like we do have these toxin sensors that tell us don't eat these things. So yeah, they're not our friends. I mean, the World Health Organization, I don't know if I still have it anymore, but they had a page on immunizations. They considered a vitamin A injection to be an immunization. I think I have the screenshot of that.
And I'll talk about this more in my video, and I'm not going to remember all the details, but the number of things they attribute to vitamin A benefits are so dishonest. It's incredible. They say like 50% greater chance of, survival for children, for babies. I mean, they're just attaching it to all kinds of health outcomes that are just not true. So yeah, it's I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their goal is, but it needs to be exposed.
The only thing I can figure out is that there's something that so all these studies are done in countries where malnourishment is normal. It's always starving, like third world malnourished countries. They never do these studies in places that eat a decent amount of meat because they'll never see it. And there's something strange that I think that so they can in the studies, if the studies are actually honest and they say we gave these starving kids vitamin A and it helped these issues. Well, I'm sure it's temporary, but there's something about in the research where vitamin A temporarily bridges something that zinc or protein does. That's my only theory. It's somehow getting in there and bridging something that's missing. And then they can say, oh, it helps this for a little while until later on they're adults and they're sick and they're jaundiced and their liver's failing and their kidneys are failing and it's just awful. And then like when you adopt a child from there and she's terribly vitamin A toxic, because they're teaching them to grow foods that, like sweet potatoes and leafy greens and all of this stuff. I mean, why in a starving country you'd want to be eating leafy greens that have like no calories in them is beyond me. They don't taste good, and then they don't give you a lot of calories. So it's like, why? Unless they're just a vehicle for fat, and then you have the fat and you absorb more vitamin A with it, which would be a devious scheme of its own. So let's get into the well, unless you had anything else to add, we could get into the live chat and see if there's any good.
I want to ask you one question. May I?
Oh, sure.
Okay, if you don't mind, it's relevant. So I mean, my question for you that I haven't heard you answer anywhere else is, we believe in a benevolent creator. Why did he? If you had to guess what role vitamin A has, would you say that it could be anything like vitamin D, where it with vitamin D, it's a carrier, it takes toxins to the liver, and then afterwards the body has to detox it? Is there a possibility, for example, why is vitamin A in breast milk? Is there a possibility that it has some role? And then, for example, when they attribute it to helping with malaria, is it a carrier in some way that brings, the toxins to the liver and it's protective, and then the body detoxes it afterwards? Or do you have a totally different theory?
Well, I mean, the whole idea that first of all, why is it in? All vitamin A starts in plant foods.
Okay.
There is no animal vitamin A without animals eating plants. So herbivores eat the plants that have the vitamin A. Herbivores convert some of it to retinaldehyde, and then we eat those things. So there is no vitamin A without plant vitamin A, without carotenoids. Okay. So then we get into, how do plants defend themselves? Chemical warfare. Plants protect themselves primarily with chemical warfare. So the idea that if we have these bad mouse studies that showed that, it was a toxin, and when it's really just, that it's a deficiency when it was really just a toxin, and we start throwing all this stuff out, people, especially the carnivore community, they'll be like, plants are full of anti-nutrients and toxins. And I'm going, okay, why can't vitamin A just be an anti-nutrient and a toxin to us? Why do plants make it? Well, it's possible that it has something to do with protecting them from light. There could be something to that. That's the one theory of what carotenoids may actually do in plants. Because it's such a slow toxin, like it takes a long time to build up to cause something. So it's not like an immediate poison. So there's that. Then we get into, why is it in breast milk? Well, I could show you research on about 50 different man-made toxins that are in breast milk too. So then we start going, is breast milk, if we talk about vitamin A, we're talking about a toxin, in my opinion, and a fat-soluble toxin. Well, what are breasts made of to begin with? And what is breast milk very high in?
Fat.
Right? So if this is an idea that some people have a hard time grasping. It's a theory, but if we start going, okay, so during the pregnancy, right, so there's the mother and the baby, they both have livers. And then there's the placenta, which is like a third liver. And when you look at placentas accumulate a lot of toxicity. They really do. That's what it's there. it's there to clean the blood, right? That's what it does. So don't eat the placenta, first of all.
Right.
So if between the mother and the baby, like think of the mother's building a baby. So there's going to be tons of, like, if you think of when they build a house, there's tons of garbage from all the materials that they're using. So they got to get rid of that. So they get a dumpster, right? So the dumpster is like the placenta. So the dumpster collects toxins, and then you want to get rid of that. So that's like a way to dispose of a lot of the toxicity. Now, then you have the mother with toxicity, and then you have the baby's liver, which in theory has been protected as well as possible from toxicity by the placenta, which is disposable, right? You can't dispose of the baby's liver. You can't dispose of the mom's liver. So you can dispose of the placenta. Women are so toxic, and the pregnancy thing, they're often doing things like GAPS, or I forget that other diet where they're just pumping vitamin A in. The only vitamin you're supposed to minimize when you're pregnant. And then you got women trying to eat more of it. Maybe
the AIP diet, autoimmune protocol.
Oh, the AI. Oh gosh. Yeah, right. General paleo, people get into the sweet potato thing and all. Oh my gosh. I did it myself. I used to eat sweet potatoes. I used to roast sweet potatoes with carrots with butter. like huge vitamin A bomb. And when I'd eat a salad, I'd eat a whole bag of spinach salad or a whole bag of arugula salad. Like I was, I did it right, but it jacked me up over time. So, where was, the breast. So in theory, the baby's liver should be the less toxic than the mother's, right? That's why kids are normally healthier, right? So the mom's been soaking up stuff in her liver to protect the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And the placenta is soaking it up and it's tossed. And then you have this brand new baby who is the least toxic of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you have to think, can the baby survive without the mother? No. Right. So the mother must be alive and be able to take care of that child. So then this is the strange thing. Then the mother, through the breast milk, the mother's actually detoxing vitamin A and it's going into the baby because Anthony Mawson did a whole paper on postpartum depression and vitamin A toxicity. Now, is a postpartum mother out in the wild going to do a great job of taking care of her baby if she's not right here?
Right.
And if the baby is growing and it's got the more empty liver, in a way, it's kind of like them working together.
Mm-hmm.
The baby's saying, Mom, I can take the hit now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm out, I can take the hit and I can take it away from you so that you can stay alive and sane to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
The less of this that's going on, the better. But it's kind of a trade. And we have the Rodal studies where a mother was, given vitamin A toxicity while it was either while she was pregnant or I think it was while the mother was pregnant. She has the babies, and one of the babies literally died from the vitamin A that was in the milk.
Wow.
In the nursing milk. And then one of the other litter mates lived, and it was getting sick though, and they changed it to normal rat food, and it completely recovered. They took it off the breast milk and they just gave it normal food. And then we had you with your tangerine breast milk. I have a thread on Twitter where I was showing women during the coof. They show their normal breast milk, which was, after it was frozen, it was still a little yellow. Mm-hmm. But then they showed the coof breast milk and it was way yellow, like way more yellow, because it's full of more toxins. That's the bile leaking into the blood. What color's bile? Yellow. What color's vitamin A? Yellow. Mm-hmm. So it's just, the idea is, the toxicity is going to overspill at some point. You can't help that. Like, why is vitamin A in breast milk? Because the body puts it there. That doesn't mean it has to be there. Mm-hmm. Like that's the weird thing that people get into. Well, they named it a vitamin, so why is it in breast milk? And then you go, well, why is rocket fuel found in all these breast milk samples? Why is rocket fuel found in every single municipal water source in this country? Is it because it's supposed to be there? Like, just because something is there doesn't mean it's supposed to be. That's mm-hmm. the big mistake that people make. Mm-hmm. So then that's where people get mixed up. So I don't believe that. We have research mm-hmm. showing that children have been born so that the child was born and they died of some cause, like a car accident or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they looked at their liver and they found perfectly healthy babies with zero vitamin A in their liver. How can that happen? Why aren't their eyes falling out? Why isn't their skin sloughing off? How does this happen? And then we go into studies that they did in Central and South America, where they said that most of the population was vitamin A deficient by their blood test. And then they say nothing much was done about it because there was no obvious problems from it. And then you go, how does this make sense? Like, shouldn't they all be suffering and falling apart? So it's just, that's where we get into, I guess that's something I was good at doing. I just went, what if they're just wrong? Like, why is vitamin A in milk? Why is it in cow milk? Why is it in human milk? Because it's a ubiquitous toxin mm-hmm. that the cows have to eat. Like, they have, in a natural world, the cows have to eat plant foods. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're less susceptible to it. So it seems that like herbivores may not be as damaged by carotenoids because they're designed to handle it. Like, they had to evolve, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, they're better designed for it. Mm-hmm. And then you get into predators, and it's well known that you don't want to eat predator liver because predator liver is the most toxic because they concentrate all those herbivores and then they eat the liver, which isn't always a good decision, but nature has made these animals are going to eat this and these animals are going to eat this. And people don't realize that it's not easy to get muscle meat off of a carcass if you don't have knives. Like if you just have claws and teeth, that's going to take you a while. That's why like vultures have these like razor sharp beaks, and they come after everybody else's left. Like there's still plenty of meat there. So muscle meat is not easy to eat. It is the least toxic, but it's not easy to get to without really sharp tools to work with. And humans have that now. So
it's a great explanation, because if we were eating a low vitamin A diet, which is actually more ancestral than what people call ancestral, if we were just eating meat and bread and, you know, some grapes and apples, we would have very little vitamin A. So like formerly people would have had very little vitamin A in their breast milk, and that would just be a way to detoxify it. And then the baby can detoxify it too, because their livers are not overrun. Like today we're inundated with vitamin A from so many sources. Our livers never have time to take it out unless we stop eating it. But back then it was in balance, and so that little bit would be detoxed out. It would be no problem.
Well, it's just like exercise. Like you're gonna do a little damage when you do exercise. That's part of how you adapt, right? So there's gonna be people have. I mean, the funny thing is, people will be like, "But my grandpa and my great grandpa and my great great grandpa all ate all these high vitamin A foods," and I go, "How's your health now?" And they're like, "Well, my health sucks," and I'm like, do you understand that these fat soluble toxins can be handed down generation by generation? So people claiming that what my great grandpappy did was perfect, and now I have problems that are unrelated to what they did. No, it's absolutely related. Like, I mean, I just throw in that one little quote, the sins of the father. Like it is literally, some of these things are literally in the Bible mentioning that we can apply to biochemistry and nutrition. Literally handed down. So, man, people just have this thing of they're like, I think people, they initially reject it because they want to be like, what are you going to tell me that this thing I thought was good all my life is now bad and is the cause of my health problems? They just, it's an accountability thing. Then all of a sudden it becomes, in a certain way, their fault. It wasn't my fault I poisoned myself with it was my fault I poisoned myself with vitamin A. I mean, I did it so many ways. One of these days, I'm going to do an episode of all the ways that I poisoned myself with vitamin A. And it's going to be wild. So, so that at some point I've always been okay with this, like with the vitamin D supplements. I mean, I don't know about vitamin D may be, I forget the theory I read about it, but it was something about vitamin D is part of our protective mechanism against the sun, but it's also got its own toxicity to it. So there's these things. I mean, breathing oxygen. This is the part that people have to realize. Breathing oxygen is killing you. Like you literally have to breathe oxygen to live, and it's also oxidizing and slowly killing you. So we can have these things that we have to have to live, and they're still slowly killing us. That's life. Like we were put here, in my opinion, to live in these, biochemical sacks of meat, to learn lessons here that we could not learn if we didn't have this physical body. So then we start going, okay, then we have pain and we have suffering and we have all these things that we wouldn't have if we were just, a spirit floating around. So that's, I kind of jump around on a lot of these topics, but I just kind of look at it and go, we're here for a reason. And the less toxic we can be, there may be tons of toxins around. Okay. And people may have accumulated tons of things. Our biggest goal, so we have to do things today more quote unquote aggressively than our ancestors did, because partly our ancestors' fault. We've been accumulating all these toxins. So now we have more toxins and we've accumulated more and we've handed it down to our children. And now we have to get out of it. So we have to do more to both avoid it and to undo what was done to us by others or by ourselves. It's not, I didn't create this problem. I'm just trying to solve it. And so people get mad at me because I'm trying to solve it. And then we're having these amazing results with conditions that other people don't have.
Right.
And then they're like mad at me. They're like, why can't I eat my eggs? And I'm like, you can eat whatever you want. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to get better slower, eat more things that are a problem. Like, it doesn't bother me one bit. That's one thing that people sometimes in consults, they probably do it to you too. They're like, I've been bad.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing it. And I'm like, okay. Like it's almost like they want me to be like, you're bad. And I'm like, no, you're fine. Like, get back on if you want to get better,
Mm-hmm.
get back on the horse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't expect big results. Just because you know about low vitamin A doesn't mean you get the benefits.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. I do things a bit differently than everybody else out there, as you kind of know, and I'm really glad you're on board and, that you grok it so you can help, pass that along to other people, both through coming here and in, your clients and your work and then the gerbil stuff. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. You're so kind to answer my question. Thank you. I know I took you on a rabbit trail.
We have to come up with, theories as to if it isn't a vitamin,
mm-hmm.
if it isn't a nutrient,
mm-hmm.
why is it there?
Like,
and then people say, well, what about the retinoid X receptor and the retinoid, the RAR, the retinoic acid receptor? And I go, they just gave it a name. Like,
right.
Just because if I wanted to call this the hole for water,
that
doesn't mean I can't put food in it. Right. It's just like,
it's misleading. The titles are often misleading.
Yeah. So just because they name it something, and then I showed that, like, I think in that one video, I showed that the RXR, the retinoid X receptor,
mm-hmm.
is like one of the most, what they call promiscuous receptors that, like, they have 7,000 different things that combine to it. And then people be like, well, why do we have this retinoid X receptor? And I'm like, because they gave it that name. It's just something that responds to a bunch of things.
Yeah.
It'd be like a light switch. Anybody can flip the light switch.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that, the light switch is only made for one person,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let me get into the chat. Let's see if there's anything good in the chat. And then we'll wrap. Well, actually, so Joe, you've already put up her video about the YouTube video link, and you've already put up eatbeautiful.net. Is there any, just before we go into the live chat, Megan, are there any other places around the net that you want people to be able to find you or to look for your stuff?
No, let's see. So yeah, just the website, YouTube, and then if anyone does Pinterest, I'm on Pinterest regularly. It's one of my ways to sort of draw new people, hopefully to the blog, who will hear about the vitamin A concept, who haven't heard about it elsewhere. But yeah, those are the website and YouTube are the main places. And YouTube isn't much yet, but I hope it's going to take off here with its next 10 videos. So.
Okay. Well, let me hit on one question here. We got the one super chat from Foreman's 9. Short question: dental implants, zirconia over titanium or none of the above? Okay. I'm not a dentist. I would not, if I had to choose. I mean, first of all, there used to be 2 labs for biocompatibility testing. I would first get multiple. If you are looking at putting anything into your body anywhere, metal or not or whatever, get like 2 or 3 opinions first. Don't just go get one medical opinion when they're talking about cutting into you or putting things in you. Like, go to multiple people, because you'll be amazed at the difference in diagnoses and recommendations, and you'll vibe with some of the doctors and feel like they're after your own, your best outcome. And some of them are just like, you look like a paycheck to them. Mm-hmm. So get multiple opinions. Then I would probably, if I had to do it, I would try to do a bridge or something rather than putting something into my bone. Right? I would rather get the tooth. A root canal. If somebody told me I was going to get a root canal, I'd be like, yank that thing. It's done. It's gone. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't get a mercury filling. Like, I'd try to actually, as an example, this is not as strong an example as, like, let's say somebody who has a tooth that's gone. But I went to the dentist who bought my dad's practice. Like, so my dad was a dentist. Doesn't mean I'm an expert in dentistry. But the guy who bought my dad's practice, I went and I had chipped a tooth. Probably because at the time I was under a lot of stress and I was clenching at night. My dad clenched so bad that his teeth were like flat across. absolutely flat. I always wondered how he got that. And then I heard about the grinding. I was like, oh, wow, he must do it really bad. So I broke one of the points off one of my molars. And I go into him and he says, well, I fill it or what? I could put some stuff on, some composite on it or whatever. I said, I really don't want to do that. And he goes, well, I could just like smooth it out so your tongue doesn't have this rough thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like take away, don't go putting chemical stuff in me. So that's always the priority. If you can take something away, like nature, like people lose teeth in nature, right? Like you get smacked with something or whatever. Losing teeth, the body knows how to deal with. Having composites and mercury fillings and other things put in your mouth, in your bone, your body doesn't know how to deal with that as well. So in my opinion, if it was me, I'd always be having things just removed rather than put in. Okay. Then we get into zirconia is non-conductive. Titanium, I believe, is conductive, and you have meridians. You have like acupuncture meridians that go to each tooth. So I would not want to be putting something conductive permanently in one of your meridian spots. So it would be zirconia if you were going to do that. If you can get something like I don't know what they're called, like a partial denture, where you can take it out for part of the day that you don't need it. So you don't have all the chemicals that it's made of or whatever in your mouth, in your saliva getting absorbed. I think that would be better too. Now, again, I'm not a dentist. These are the things that I'd be, I've never really, I'm lucky. I've always had pretty dang good teeth. So I haven't had to deal with a lot of these things, these questions. But I would absolutely, if I was doing anything dental, I would get multiple opinions by both like normal dentists, at least one normal dentist, and then one holistic dentist. But make sure you guys research the holistic dentist because they can. I mean, there was a guy in town here, the nickname they gave him was Swindler, because if you went and you sat in his chair, you were not going to leave his office without a $10,000 or more treatment plan. This was 20 years ago. Can you imagine what the cost is now? So it's not that like some alternative dentists are amazing. Another alternative dentist here in town tried to start turning into a naturopathic doctor, basically. So she was like, going to do your teeth and then do your whole health and all that stuff. And I was like, I didn't agree with what she was doing. So I stopped sending people to her too. So I don't really, dentistry is, it's hard to find good people. Mm-hmm. So there's that. So that's that question. Do you have anything to add on that, Megan? You had any dental fun stuff or anything like that?
Only that we finally made up the solution that you and Kelsey created with xylitol and the thing we can't name here, the ingredient we can't name. So that's exciting because she was so malnourished as a child. She does have regular cavities, and we started using the what is it? The solution with the zinc and the calcium.
Calcium therapy drops. Yeah.
Thank you. We started using that a long time ago and had great success. Initially, it took away her cavities, but then new ones came back. These were more stubborn. And so here I thought I'd like figured it out with the initial recommendation. But in any case, we're trying this new thing. It's going great so far. It healed her gums immediately. There was a little gum issue. I mean, it was just like one time and that healed up fast. So we'll see where that goes. But just a little plug for that mouthwash. Excited about that.
Actually, since we're doing a plug right now, just in case anybody didn't get our notifications, the zinc and niacin salve is back. We have it back, and we ordered plenty this time. So if we sell it out, Kelsey came up with that, and that's amazing. And then also, in the future, our own tooth powder, formulated by Kelsey and I. So as an option, instead of the calcium therapy drops, there's a question. I'll actually get to that one in the chat about the calcium therapy drops. But yeah, we're working on a tooth powder of our own that won't be like high in lead, like some of the other bentonite ones or the other things. And it's not charcoal. Don't brush. Okay. I used to talk about brushing your teeth with charcoal. Don't brush your teeth with charcoal, folks. Charcoal's too rough. It actually scratches your teeth. It would be even better if you were going to use something simple like baking soda or something that's not rough like that. But yeah, our tooth powder is pretty cool. Actually, Kelsey's sending me some samples today so I can test it out, and I can have the kids test it out, and I can have my mom test it out, and we can all test it out. So that will be cool. Okay. So yeah, actually there it is right there. The question, hi doc, do you still recommend Dr. Manhart's calcium therapy for dental care from your old breathing episode? I wore the strip for 6 hours and got a massive headache. Probably not the best idea. Thanks. Okay, so this is important. I'm going to hit on the calcium. So the calcium therapy drops, right? You're using something like 2 to 4 drops on your toothbrush. Okay. So somebody in the Love Your Liver program said, well, is this going to be like a lot of calcium? Like Dr. Smith, your episode on calcium, you were talking about supplementing calcium and how that was a problem. And I'm like, we're talking about 4 drops here, and we're talking about spitting it out. We're not quite talking about like rubbing magnesium oil spray on your body or magnesium lotion where you're putting on a significant amount and you're soaking it up. So now the other thing about that, so what you're saying, so you did there are calcium strips and you got a headache. Well, first of all, you may want to just double check and make sure to confirm it. You might want to try maybe half a strip or a quarter of a strip and try it again and see if the same thing comes on, because it could have just been a coincidence. That's the thing we always want to rule out. Are you positive it was that, or was it just a timing coincidence? Because it could just be a timing coincidence. And now you've, deemed this thing guilty and it may not be guilty. So there's that. Then, as I talk about in the calcium episode, and what Kelsey has been observing with her consult clients and in the Love Your Liver program, is that it seems that for every one person who seems to benefit from getting more calcium, whether that's dietary or however else they're choosing to do it, there's like 2 other people who don't feel better on calcium. Again, this fits within the framework where we can say you can try some more calcium, see if you feel better. If you don't, maybe you don't need any more. I'm not doing extra calcium foods. I don't seem to need it. So, and there's lots of people in the Love Your Liver program who are like, how are you guys doing with the calcium? There's a whole thread on it. How are you guys doing with the calcium? And a lot of people are like, I tried it. I didn't feel it was good. So I'm not doing it. One more thing about the calcium. I don't know in those calcium strips if they are just calcium or if they have the zinc in them that they typically combine in like the liquid. So if there was zinc in those and you put zinc in your mouth that absorbs right here and it's very close to your brain, and let's say you have copper toxicity in your brain, you could stir that up. Headaches are classic copper stuff. I mean, vitamin A, headaches are classic. Copper, headaches are classic. So it could be the zinc in it stirring stuff up. So we have multiple things that could be like, if you already knew that you were sensitive to zinc supplements and then the calcium strip did that, it might make more sense that it was zinc rather than the calcium. But again, if you're not reacting well to it, then either find a way to do less, or maybe you don't need it, or maybe you don't need it yet, or do something else. So that's what I got on that one. Megan, you have anything to add on that one?
No, that was great. I love learning from you.
And Megan was mentioning the tooth. I have kind of a tooth care approach in the program. It's kind of something that Kelsey and I put together. If you guys are in the program, you may want to search for that. I know I don't know the magic words to search for, but it's somewhere. If you're looking up dental or tooth stuff, if you're using the search bar, you'll probably find it. Mm-hmm. So let's look down here. Foreman's asked, did you say this was another one of the super chat? Did you say the future niacin will be buffered? If you buffer all future niacin, how will we know if a dose is too much or too little? And is it time to titrate up or down? Or am I misunderstanding buffer? Okay. Yes, you're just misunderstanding the term buffer. Okay. And this is really, really important for all of you to hear out there, because the reason we're going to be buffering our niacin products in the future is because too many people did not read the instructions, or they did not comprehend the instructions, or they decided to do things that were not in the instructions. And then they're wondering why they messed themselves up. Okay. Niacin. Okay. So you know how you can have, like Alka-Seltzer, right? Okay. There's aspirin in there, acetyl salicylic acid, and then they put in baking soda and citric acid. And the baking soda and the citric acid react together and they create the bubbles. Okay. Buffering is a chemical reaction. And there's going to be bubbles. With the stuff we're talking about, there's going to be bubbles. And then I believe it makes, in Alka-Seltzer, it makes sodium acetyl salicylate. So it binds the sodium to the aspirin that's in the Alka-Seltzer. If you didn't know Alka-Seltzer was just a fancy aspirin, that's what it is. So when we have nicotinic acid and you react it with an alkaline compound like the typical ones we recommend, baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, or potassium bicarbonate, or magnesium carbonate. They will react, they will put off bubbles, and then you are taking that mineral, that the sodium or the potassium or the magnesium, and the nicotinate or the niacinate. Well, I'm sorry, it's nicotinic acid, but then they react, and then it forms sodium nicotinate or potassium nicotinate or magnesium nicotinate. And it's a new compound. That new compound is very, very close to neutral, as in 7.0. It's close to it. It's not exactly it, but it's close to it. And this means you're not putting an excess amount of acidity in your body when you take the nicotinic acid, especially if you're taking higher doses. Okay. Some people read about buffers and they thought, oh, I'll just take magnesium citrate with my flush niacin, with my nicotinic acid. No, that doesn't react. You can't just take a mineral with it. I had some people who were like, I'm taking zeolite with it as a buffer. No, zeolite's not a buffer. Like, I'm taking activated charcoal with it as a buffer. No, that's not. It's actually like a legit chemical reaction. Okay. So if you're buffering with anything other than what we mention in the articles, you're probably not buffering. Buffering requires its chemistry. Okay. So then and then people were over buffering. You way over buffer. Now we're trying to avoid the acidity issue. And then you add way too much buffer. And now you're going to create an alkalinity issue, which is actually a worse problem and harder to get rid of. If you make yourself too alkaline for too long, that's a harder problem to get rid of. That may be another problem with the whole calcium carbonate supplementation that people are doing, is because calcium's alkaline and carbonate's alkaline. And they're taking like alkaline stuff in high doses, and then it causes problems with their pH long term. So with the buffered niacin pills or powder, we're probably going to come out with a powder similar to Kelsey's old Nia soda. Actually, that's going to be the name of it. They're going to be called Nia soda because baking soda, potassium soda is actually, it's a soda too. So these things with bicarbonates are sodas technically. But it's not going to change the amount of niacin in a pill. The first ones we're going to come out with are going to be the 100 milligram pills, because we have a lot of people who are kind of saying there's this giant gap between 25 milligram pills, our smallest one, and 500 milligram pills. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make 100. And that's going to be the first buffered one. And then we're going to buffer the other ones as we go. And then we'll come out with a buffered powder. So the pills are going to be like, in a pill, it's going to be the flush niacin. It's going to be sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and it's going to be potassium bicarbonate in there. And you're going to take it, and it's going to get into the juices of your stomach, right? And your digestion. And then they're going to react there. So there would be bubbles inside you're not going to be burping or anything. It's going to be little teeny bubbles in your stomach, and it's going to form sodium nicotinate and potassium nicotinate in your stomach. Okay. So yeah, that's buffering means we're taking a mineral and the niacin and they're binding it together, but that requires specific compounds. It doesn't mean you just take a mineral with your niacin. That's not how this works. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Oh, well, here's somebody, Jana was saying, I found Megan's blog while searching for AIP recipes. As I seem to have an egg allergy for some strange reason, wink, wink. Oh, funny thing, you guys should know the top 2 allergic foods. Do you know what they are, Megan? The absolute top 2 allergic foods.
Eggs and milk.
Eggs and milk.
Okay.
For those of you who have gotten food allergy tests, like eggs and dairy are the 2 most common allergens. What do they bring into the body more than just about anything else that people eat on a regular basis? Animal vitamin A. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, for those of you who have done food allergy tests, if you want to go back and look at them and see how many of the allergic foods you reacted to are high vitamin A foods.
Yeah.
I bet have you seen this pattern, Megan?
Yeah. With my clients, they'll sometimes give me labs from a doctor, and it's amazing to go down the list and you see red bell peppers, spinach, spirulina, egg yolks. Oh, and it's just like vitamin A, vitamin A, vitamin A. Yeah.
These patterns exist for reasons, folks. Like, you're allergic for a reason.
Yeah.
It's vitamin A. You take out the vitamin A, the food allergies over time will go away. You could still be allergic to foods while you're still toxic in vitamin A. You could be allergic to low vitamin A foods, of course, because the problem is the toxicity in your system causing these reactions. But as you get that out, your system calms down, and then these problems just magically go away, right? So, okay. So let's keep going. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Joe was adding chocolate often has cadmium in it as well, and that interferes with retinol binding proteins. The ability of the retinol binding protein to bind to retinol, so the retinol binding protein can't protect you from the retinol. The key connection here. So one of the funny things is your body fat makes a lot of retinol binding protein. If your body fat was making lots of retinol binding protein to protect you from the retinol, what does that mean that the retinol binding protein's main function is? People like to think that the retinol binding protein is supposed to take the vitamin A to your tissues. But if the body fat's the main thing that makes it, where does that mean the body fat is probably sending the vitamin A? Back to your liver to get rid of it. Now you need, funny thing that Joe's mentioning about cadmium, zinc directly antagonizes cadmium. You need zinc to make retinol binding protein. Cadmium antagonizes zinc. So the cadmium would be kicking zinc out, making you deficient in zinc, and then you wouldn't make retinol binding protein either. So this is how these things always connect. They always connect. So let's keep going. Oh, Daniel added EWG, the Environmental Working Group, just did a study of the popular organic chocolates, and they were all bad. I mean, some of these things are what they call like bioremediators. What does bioremediator mean? It means they take toxic stuff out of the soil into the plant. So if you grow those plants, like folks, sunflowers are known as bioremediators. Like they pull tons of toxic stuff out of the soil. Green tea pulls fluoride out of the soil. Rice pulls arsenic out of the soil, right? We've heard about that. So some of these plants, they pull stuff out of the soil. So if you got rid of those plants, over time, you could actually clean the soil with them. The problem is they're feeding them to us. Yeah. And then we're eating and digesting and absorbing what the plant cleaned up out of the soil. So you got to watch out for that. I used to do, like when I thought I was being all healthy, I would do a quarter of a bar of the 73% dark organic chocolate from Trader Joe's daily. And after a while, my intuition started being like, it started not tasting as good. And then my body's kind of like, why are you doing this? Like, I don't feel better on it. And then I quit doing it. And then later on, I was like, oh, now I know why I shouldn't have been doing that. So, okay, let's keep going. Unless you go ahead and add anything if you haven't, from Megan. I'll just see if there's anything else. Oh, here's a compliment to you. Megan has great recipes. I love her bean waffles from Jana.
Love you, Jana.
So let's see. Oh, Daniel was just adding, sometimes people subconsciously, this was an interesting thing. I saw this from him. Sometimes people subconsciously get sick because their subconscious thinks it will bring their family together. But sadly, it doesn't a lot of the time. It's kind of like people trying to, like, let's say they're going to try to get pregnant to like save their marriage. Like we can have these really dysfunctional things that we think up, whether it's conscious or not, to try to fix problems. We have all sorts of these defense mechanisms, and like it's too bad. I mean, I think as people get healthier, they start to see, well, first of all, they start to care less, like the whole let them. When you learn the let them theory and you're less toxic, all of a sudden you start going, I can't control this, I can't control this, I can't control this, I can only control what I do.
Yep.
And then you move forward with that. That's all you can do, is control what you do.
Yep.
And it becomes, as people get healthier, the stuff that other people does affects you less.
That's right.
And it's really nice. And all you have to do is eat good. That's
right.
All you really have to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Jennifer was adding muscle energy fascia work has been really powerful for me in that respect. I mean, folks, if you get lucky and you find like what really works for you, like go for it. Here's the thing I'm going to say about diets and therapeutics and all that stuff. Like, okay, I love acupuncture. If I could get an acupuncture treatment a week, I would. It just puts me to sleep. And it just feels, I feel really good when I get up. Am I going to take their herbs? No, I'm not going to touch their herbs. I'm not going to worry about their diet recommendations, but acupuncture is great. Like I don't suggest deep tissue massages, but like muscle fascia energy work, whatever it is. I did I learned something called body talk a long time ago, and it's a form of energy work. And Kelsey was visiting and she had some issues, and I didn't have anything else around. And I was like, well, let me throw some of this at it. And I did. And she said, I think that helped. And I did like one of the little most basic techniques from it on her. So whatever works, you know.
Yeah, it correlates with the big six too, which the fascia work, because I do both of those as well. And it's just getting the lymphatics flowing, getting all the toxins out of our skin and face, and getting things moving. It's a big help with detox.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what the Big Six is, look up Perry Nicholson Big Six, and you can find it on his website, or you can find, there's tons of YouTube videos where he's been on like podcasts and he's gone over it. But if you want the legit one from his website, I forget what, stopchasingpain.com is his website. And I love the Big Six. It's very helpful for just getting things draining more. So yeah, lymphatics, like try a bunch of things. See what jives and what works with you and what gives you results. Like I know for me, like just exercise in general, that does most of it for me. But if you're too sick to exercise, you got to start, like the Big Six is just like tapping and rubbing and stuff like that. Right. It's not EFT. I might've looked like I was doing EFT there, but it's not EFT. It's lymphatic stuff. But EFT could be helpful. So lots of people have gotten a lot of help from EFT, emotional freedom technique. So yeah, so whatever works for you, do that. Jana asks, on the Sperti lamp, how far away should one be from the lamp when it's on? Talk to the company. Look at the instructions. Follow the instructions. And so many things in life, like, okay, on the sun fiber, on the zeolite, on the lactoferrin, there's a link to like pages worth of instructions on these things. Read the instructions. Like, so Sperti, the Sperti people will know the best recommendation for their product. I'll be honest, I don't have a Sperti lamp because I live in Tucson. Like I'm still going to be walking outside in the middle of the day right now because we have sun all year round. They used to say that Tucson had sun 300 days of the year. So when it starts to get cloudy, I'm probably going to get a membership to, I think this sounds like a joke, but Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is known for having really good tanning beds, just so you know. So if you're getting it, you want a membership to a place, generally, I'm going to tell you, yes, Planet Fitness is kind of a joke to anybody who exercises, but they have good tanning beds and you can probably get access for 20 to 30 bucks a month. As opposed to like up in Ponderay, close to where Kelsey lives, there's a place that has tanning beds. It's 70 bucks a month just for the tanning bed place. Whereas you could go to the gym and it's 30 bucks a month. So the gyms are good places for tanning beds. Would you agree with that, Megan?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also did something similar to Planet Fitness in those years. I did that. I snuck in my own oil. I had castor oil in my purse because they want you to buy their tanning products. And they'll ask you, do you have your oil with you? We require you have oil. And I'd say yes. But then I would use my clean oil instead of their nasty oil. And yeah, I would leave feeling like a golden retriever every time. You know, this was years ago. And what a difference it makes to get light. We just really need it.
Yeah. So, well, let me add a couple things there. Castor oil, folks, if you want to use castor oil topically, great. Don't take it internally. Okay, that's the general thing. And then I don't use oil personally. I just go in and do the thing. And then a lot of people are bringing up EMF about tanning beds. The responses that we get from people. Well, I haven't had. Okay, I have not heard. I'm not saying this couldn't happen. It could happen. I have not had people who are EMF sensitive coming to me complaining of EMF symptoms from tanning beds. I haven't had that. And then also you're only in it for like, what I tell people is like, all you need is 8 minutes total a week.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the now, might you need less? You're really pale. You're really toxic. Like you get burnt super easy. You might start with 2 minutes, and I'm dead serious. Maybe a minute if you want to be really careful. And then you can come back 4 days later and try 2 minutes. But I cannot. Okay, here's one thing I'm going to tell you about tanning beds in the gym. If they have multiple tanning beds, do not assume they're all the same power. I was doing like 6 or 7 minutes on one of the tanning beds there, and that was fine. And then all of a sudden I went and I did it on another tanning bed that they had there. It looked like exactly the same model. And I'm going to tell something embarrassing here. It actually, I got burned. I got a little burned, and I had burns on my butt cheeks from where it was sitting on the glass part. Those stayed for a while. Those did not go away for a while.
Yeah, I actually had the same. You learned the hard way. I had the same thing happen. You learned to put a little wash rag or whatever over the parts that never see sun, because they're just not going to take it as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion. Yes, I didn't do that, and I got burned.
Yeah. And I had the same thing happen as well. I had my favorite tanning bed, and when I went to another one, it behaved differently. So I just always went to the same bed.
Yeah. So either do that. If you find a tanning bed that works for you, you know your time, you know your dose, stick with that one. Maybe if somebody's in there, wait for it to be done. Or if you're gonna use something new, cut your dose down so you don't go in and think, well, it's all the same, and then you get too much. So yeah. But I haven't had any EMF stuff. I don't want to say I'm sensitive to EMF, but I'm enough in tune with it. I used to be EMF sensitive, but I'm not anymore. But if you are EMF sensitive, like we're talking about, the benefits of the light will likely outpace the EMF stuff for like 4 minutes at a time or whatever it is. It's only 4 minutes, but then you get the light, and the light stuff sticks with you for a while. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Anything else? Oh, Joe sent me a private message that he loves karaoke.
Great.
We may have to do that sometime, Joe. Okay. Don't know if there's anything else. Daniel said he's been taking high CoQ10. He's saying I don't talk about that much. Maybe it's too high in antioxidants, but it is working out well for me. I don't see an issue. Experimenting with CoQ10, I think, is fine. If you want to experiment with it, if you don't feel anything from it, don't do it. Don't mega dose it though, and then think that it's doing something, because then you're just mega dosing and potentially getting, kind of the drug-like effect by mega dosing. But could CoQ10 be helpful? Yes, it could. Okay, let's see. Anything else? I think. Joe, if you saw any other questions, let me know. Human Health said, could vitamin A just be a limiting factor to keep the balance of the ecosystem? Since our bodies are nature, it is affected the same as animals, but our soul mind can see the vitamin for what it is. Well, there's a funny thing about fruits that have lots of vitamin A. They're always the sweetest. People will be like mangoes and papayas and all this stuff, and they're orange and yellow and all this, and they're like, but they taste so good. And I'm like, okay, poisons are usually bitter, right? You ever heard the saying, a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down, right? So plants want to, for whatever reason, well, what would the tropics have more of, right? Sun. So if vitamin A is part of some sun protection mechanism, as I was saying, it would make sense that the tropical ones would have more of it. But they still want animals to eat the flesh so they can eat the seeds, so they can then go poop out the seeds with fertilizer. So they cover up the bitterness of the poison with sugar. So it's just all these adaptations happening at once. So that's one of the reasons why, like, when you think of bananas and apples and green grapes, the stuff that we tend to like in terms of fruits on the program, these are not the sweetest fruits. They don't have to be, because they don't have as much poison in them. So, okay. Let's see. Oh, Joe was saying at Planet Fitness, the standing ones and horizontal ones have different strengths, and then they have the red light, beauty light, and that's different too. I would say, I know the guy, I think it's the tanningguru.com is a good website about kind of the propaganda against tanning. And he highlights a lot of the beneficial studies of tanning. The early studies on tanning beds where they said it was bad were done by L'Oreal.
Wow.
They make sunscreen, folks, and they make all these products to help your sun damage. And they're creating the problem and then they're giving you the solution, right? Sunscreen, I've talked about this before, but tanning beds are very easy to get a measured dose of light, right? You can go in and you're like, I'm going to do 4 minutes in this tanning bed. And I know I get a great response out of it. So then you can go outside and get sun, and you're going to be actually more protected because your skin is more used to it. For those of you who don't know, if you're still burning, if you burn out in the sun, the two things that will cause this, vitamin A toxicity is one, and then too many PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids. So the seed oils, some people have gotten rid of their skin, they're burning from the sun from just getting rid of seed oils. And we have tons of people who have gotten rid of their burning with avoiding vitamin A. And we generally add minimal, for the person, fats and oils to our diet. So we're fixing both issues. So just know if you're burning, if you're still very sensitive to the sun, whether it's your eyes are sensitive, your skin is sensitive, you're still toxic. Don't overdo light. Okay. But here's the kicker on sunscreen and skin cancer. So the sun, there's a reason why people who live in beach towns and on the ocean and all this stuff tend to look healthier, be healthier, live longer. Because the sun detoxes vitamin A. It helps oxidize it and send it to your liver so your liver can process it and get rid of it. Okay. So sunscreen would do two things. Sunscreen would block the UV from detoxing you, and the sunscreen's putting poisons into you at the same time. You are absorbing sunscreen into your bloodstream. Studies show it. They gave people sunscreens with eight known ingredients in it. They measured their blood 24 hours later. They found all 8 chemicals in the blood. So the sunscreen, people will say, well, what about the skin cancer? Why is it going up? And why do some people who don't get too much sun get skin cancer? And then some people who are, using sunscreens are getting skin cancer. Okay. Too much vitamin A in your skin is a poison. And then if you get a lot of sun on that poison, I don't know if you know this, but there's a guy on Twitter. What's his name? I forget his name, but he said you have to, if you want to get a good tan, you have to eat lots of vitamin A. Oh, the tan man or something like that. He would say you have to eat lots of vitamin A to get a tan. So what is a tan then? A tan is like crispy fried vitamin A in your skin.
Wow. So
you eat more vitamin A, you're more toxic, and then you crispy fry it into your skin, and then it takes days to weeks to get rid of it after you stop getting the sun. So what is cancer? Toxicity storage. If you're storing tons of toxins in your skin and then you're charring them, that could create skin cancer. Okay. Sunscreen would cause it two ways. It blocks you from detoxing the toxins, and then it puts toxins into your skin. So can both sides be right? Could too much sun in toxic people cause a problem? Yes. Could not enough sun or blocking the sun in other people and then putting poisons in them cause a problem? Yes. So where do we want to be in the middle of it? Well, we reduce the toxins in, and then you can go out in the sun and not get burned and detox the toxins that are still in your skin. Okay. So Megan, you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. So let's see. Oh, and I would highly suggest if you can find tanning beds with red light in them, I would use those. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm going to look into Planet Fitness is because the old gym I went to, Choose Fitness, they just have the normal tanning beds. And I've heard that most of the Planet Fitnesses have the UV plus the red light. So, and I know the Tanning Guru guy is big on the red light edition too. So, okay. Terminator asks, is magnesium carbonate an okay buffer for niacin? Yes, but you got to follow the dosing instructions that Kelsey created in the niacin articles. Let's see. Christina Sophia said, my eyes are noticeably lighter blue now, I think from doing low vitamin A for several years. Yes. Have you noticed this in people, Megan?
I don't know. I'd love to hear about this.
Well, I've had people in the comments here, specifically a couple live streams back, they were saying that my eyes were a lot lighter, that my eyes were a lot brighter. We've had people, I mean, we just showed an episode or two ago, the lady where we fixed the Kayser-Fleischer ring, which is a copper ring around the iris. So it's a blue ring. And then my buddy Edis, who watches the show, hey Edis, he comes and he shows me he shows me the ring on his eye. He's like, I have this. And I was like, wow, we got to fix that. He's not able to take a lot of supplements. He seems to be very, very sensitive to many, many supplements. So we're still trying to figure him out. But yeah, this thing, so it makes sense. Like if iridology, if there's some value to iridology, iridology is a study of your iris to look for health issues, right? Iridology is kind of just like, it's just naming more symptoms. If they say, oh, you have something in this area and that means your liver, and you have something in this area and that means your kidney, they're not telling you why. They're just telling you have a problem a different way, right? If you go to a Chinese medicine person, they're like, you have spleen qi stagnation. Okay. Like, what does that mean? And how do we fix it? Right. So knowing the symptoms is one thing, or having obvious signs of symptoms is one thing, but then fixing it is another. And we do have people saying their eyes are getting lighter, and that things that they see in their eyes, like that Kayser-Fleischer ring, which is a legitimate medical diagnosis for copper toxicity, going away. So that's pretty cool. Christina Sophia, this is for you, Megan. Does Megan have a recipe for waffles that are made with leftover rice?
Ooh, fun question. I have a recipe for making waffles with leftover oats, cooked oatmeal. So I don't know if you could sub it in, but you could look for that one. That might work.
Yeah.
I love doing, that's exactly what I love doing. I haven't had that request yet.
You have a new project, right? You have a new thing to work on.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the main questions. Yeah. So for those of you out there, don't hesitate to go check out eatbeautiful.net, Megan's blog, where she's talking about all these recipes and doing all this stuff. And she's got her books for sale there. And then she's got her YouTube channel, which, so Joe will put the links for Megan's website and the YouTube page in a comment, and then I'll pin it to the top, and then we'll just keep going on helping people. So Megan, is there anything you want to wrap up with?
No, just thank you. Your work has been life-changing for me. So I'm just so grateful.
Well, thank you very much for doing it. Thank you for grokking it. Thank you for sharing it with people and helping lead people towards better health, as we had similar paths in terms of the different dietary things. And so all of us are like the veterans of the diet wars, and we've come out of it on the other side. So yes, thank you for coming. For those of you who are here, thank you for joining us in the live chat. And remember the zinc salve is back in, and then we're working on that tooth powder. That'll be fun. Don't email Julie about it, please. Don't ask for a date. And otherwise, we will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye now.